I hope you can hear this, yeah. So, good afternoon, and this is the perfect spot to start talking about anything right after lunch, so everyone is like falling asleep or something. But good to have so many of you here. So my name is Juho Nevalainen, coming from a company called Solfigate, coming from Helsinki, Finland, and happy to be here for the first time in this session. So I will be talking about, with the headline of accelerated time to value in business transformations, a little bit maybe different kind of a topic than previously, but I promise you there will be AI stuff in here as well, so don't worry. It has to be AI in everything these days, right? But so that you understand a little bit about the background, so maybe a couple of words about what we do at Solfigate. So we are not a traditional management consultancy company, even though we do help our customers in digital transformations. So what we do basically is or what we are not actually either, is that we don't do software development. So we rely on low-code, no-code solutions. So we are kind of somewhere in between of management consultancies and IT and tech companies. Some numbers here as well, what we do. So we have been around for more than 20 years and also have offices in Sweden, in Stockholm and in Malmö and so on. We employ something like 100 people in Sweden altogether. But the point is that what we try to do is put together business and technology. That's why we call ourselves the business technology company, obviously. And so not making the distinction between IT and business that has been traditionally the thing, right? Another thing about Solfigate and what we have been doing for the last 15 years is we have been developing this kind of an open source framework for managing business technology. So we call it the Business Technology Standard. It's an open source, completely free of charge, let's say, library of best practices that is aimed for business management, not IT people, so that they would understand that what the hell is going on in this IT world, even if I don't talk the nerdy stuff. From Sweden, we have had companies like Securitas, Stora Enso, Saab, and so on participating in developing that model. So this is something that Solfigate is not developing, but we do it with our customers, and so it's a true cooperation, and you can find it completely free of charge, no registration or anything needed, and it's ready for you to apply. But going into the topic, so what is this time to value? So in simple terms, what we mean by this time to value approach in tech-related business transformation is basically how do we run this cycle of plan, build, and run very quickly, because you know that in tech-related development, the value is only realized when we get to the final stage, right? Then everything else is basically costs, and that's why if we want to be increasing or accelerating the time to value, we basically need to go around this cycle very, very fast. And of course, this is not only about technology, it's very much about people engagement and doing the transformation so that the people can stay on board, right? Today we have many interesting sessions about the technology itself, but I'm sorry, but that's not enough. I mean, we need to make sure that the people also stay with us and they get to kind of take the technology into use as well. So I think in the era of AI, this is more relevant than ever, actually, because the new things are coming so fastly. So how on earth do the people stay on board if they are not, as into this AI topic as people might be in this form? So that's kind of the thing, and now the question is that why should you give a damn about it, actually? So what is it all about to you? So I give you couple of reasons for that. So first thing, obviously, is that the changes are happening so fast these days, and as I was already mentioning, that people need to stay on track, and some of course say that the change is not going to be as slow as it is today, like ever in the future again. So it will be increasing all the time, and we basically cannot run the future with the yesterday's leadership methods, if you put it like that. So that's one thing. The second thing is that we have actually been doing a couple of studies. This one was done actually by our Swedish colleagues here in Sweden with handful of our customers, and it was very very clear actually that we are not always doing that well in transformation, and especially with these technology-related business transformations. So basically, what we found out in these interviews and studies was that organizations, they struggle to articulate the visions and so on, and that is basically weakening the overall impact of the transformation, right? So we are not getting basically business value out of the thing that we are trying to do, which is a little bit bad. And the second thing is that many of the tech-related transformations, they focus on basics. So they focus on kind of making the technological background more solid and so on, which is kind of important, of course, but it's not really creating that much of business value. So that's what our customers are saying, which is also a little bit bad if you think about that. Now we should be actually increasing and accelerating the changes all the time, but if we can't do that still today, so how are we going to handle that in the future either? So that's one study, and then another one more focus on AI. So what we studied mainly in Finland, but covering also international companies, was that most of the respondents in this survey say that organizations believe that AI will improve the productivity in the coming years. Well, what does that mean? I mean, AI is here already, and we should be taking the most out of it already. And someone said already in the last speech that it's gonna automate the work of the people and so on. But still, the companies are saying that maybe let's wait a couple of years and let's see what will happen. So what the hell? And also only few % of the respondents are saying that they have really gained some true value out of the AI. So that's a little bit alarming when it comes to transformations, right? Of course, there are differences between companies and maybe even countries and so on, but generically speaking. A couple of more detailed things about that same survey was that actually it's quite interesting that it's in the third from the top, actually, that AI projects have delivered results that improve individual productivity, meaning that people, they use Copilot for drafting their emails or making meeting memos. Well, that's nice. Individual productivity went up for 0.something%. Well, if everyone does that, fine, but still it's not gonna take us to the moon yet. We need to do something much differently. So what was the key finding also? Maybe two things is that many of those experiments that we are now seeing in our customer base, they are, when it comes to AI, they are focusing actually testing the technology, which is quite interesting because I think that we have already seen that technology is quite ready for AI deployment. In this session today, and all the technologies are there already, and you can do crazy stuff already. But still, many of the experiments and pilots and POCs that are happening in the companies, they focus on actually testing the technology still, instead of like changing the way we do business and do different kinds of processes and completely like reshape the whole ways of working and so on. So that's also interesting. So we basically lack leadership and investment capability, which is why I think this is very, very relevant as such. Now, obviously, this kind of a time to value has been developed earlier on. So for example, when the world went from traditional waterfall projects into sprint-based agile development, meaning DevOps and such methodologies, obviously we saw already quite an improvement in the kind of efficiency. One could say that maybe 50% more efficient work, and that kind of tied in the build and run phase. So well, that's what DevOps is all about, I guess. So, but then what was left out was the planning phase still. So this is still a little bit different kind of work phase typically. In the safe models and whatever, you have this quarterly plannings and so on, until you get the planning and building phase where things are then more tied together. But the problem is that it's typically the business guys who are there doing the planning work. So I think that's kind of a bit of a struggle still. That if the business people are doing their visions and giving their targets and ambitions, how businesses should change, they are kind of left in the planning phase, and then off the project goes and so on. So now what I'm basically saying here is that in order to truly accelerate the time to value, we need to tie all of these phases together, meaning that also the business guys need to be more tightly together with the planning and running phase. So it cannot be so that first you do some business planning and then IT guys do the development and so on. They need to work together. Everyone has to be a techie guy and everyone has to be a business guy basically. And that's, I hope, and we'll talk more that how AI will help in generating that. How do we turn basically years into months into weeks, and so on. Okay, so what can we do to minimize the time to value even more? Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger says that just live faster. Well, okay, that's one way of looking at it. And maybe this guy has been talking about that if you think that world is going very fast, so basically do something. Don't just stand there, but get on the AI train, because if you are on the train, then it doesn't feel that fast. But maybe I will share a couple of, or let's say top 3 things that I think we should be doing more to reach that. So number 1, the business management definitely need to get their hands dirty. So you cannot just stand in the background looking at other people doing the AI stuff. You really need to put your hands there and start massaging the things, right? So because I guess it's the only way you can really kind of lead the transformation, if you are really doing it, if you really understand what is it that you are doing. So if you don't know what you're doing, you cannot lead it basically. So we have seen so many examples of this, that companies in our customers, that business guys come to the kickoff meeting, they say that these are our main targets, and then please execute, and we will sit in some steering committee, and then time goes by, and then we start questioning that, okay, why didn't you achieve the targets that we set for you, instead of us actually doing it, the dirty work. So that's maybe one thing. The other one, what I also stress to our customers very often is that take the most advantage that you have in the most from these platforms that you are already using. So we see many customers using platforms like Salesforce or ServiceNow or Microsoft Dynamics or whatever, SAPs and so on, which comes with huge amounts of ready-made AI things built in already. So all of these companies, they put billions of dollars every year in developing the built-in AI on these platforms. Now, there are so many advantages and value add you can take readily from these platforms that you are most likely already using, at least one of them. And it's quite sad to actually see the situation where companies are maybe even paying for these features, but they are still not using it. Instead of they start coding AI solutions from scratch. And that's of course, if you find the golden nugget that will definitely bring you a lot of competitive advantage, and you are absolutely sure that none of your current technologies can do it, of course, then go ahead and develop your own solution, and that's what you should be doing. But maybe it's wise to first check out what do you have already. I mean, people seem to think, for example, that Salesforce is a CRM system. You cannot do anything other things than just CRM. Well, the fact is that you can almost run your whole company with it, so if you want. So just an example. Okay, number 3, you need to have one operating model, one common cookbook for your whole ecosystem, if you will. So covering business, IT, and most likely also your external partners, your vendors, service providers. So the one common operating model should cover all the way of working, the roles and responsibilities, the governance model, these kinds of things, so that you can really lead your activities. So maybe a real interesting situation is a true story of one of our clients in the medical sector in Finland, that they say that, okay, they have already been developing, let's say, 50 different AI agents for their doctors, basically. And when the doctor comes to the work every morning, the doctor opens whatever system. Basically, they have an AI agent library of where they select that, okay, today I need this, and this agent for my work. So one of them helping them with diagnosis, maybe one of them helping them with summarizing findings, one of them is a research agent, and so on and so on. So a whole bunch of these, and they say that, okay, we have already 50 of them. Well, then comes the question as who is actually managing them, who is making sure that they are up to date, who is making sure that they are being developed further, who is making sure that they are compliant, so that they comply with the regulations, and so on and so on and so on. And then all of a sudden, it becomes a little bit silence because these things have not been maybe yet thought through, and I think this is definitely one thing to consider also in the operating model part, because thinking about that next year they might have 100 agents and then they have 200 and so on, so it will kind of collapse if you don't have one common way of working. So in a nutshell, 3 things that I wanted to highlight, and obviously AI can then be embedded into all of this to support whatever you want to be doing there. So here's a busy slide of examples of what that could be in practice, and point being that especially in the left-hand side, that you definitely don't need to be a techie expert to be able to do those things. So you can have your AI support in your business planning and feature planning and doing the requirements and so on and so on. And that's definitely not rocket science, but you need to, of course, know what you're doing. And of course, in the middle as well, all sorts of low-code, no-code development and supporting in project management, change management, and whatever. So that's, of course, much possible. Talking about the operating model, we have been developing for our customers this kind of a framework for AI development, simple enough for everyone to kind of be able to lead their development work with couple of layers from AI kind of strategic topics, then going into let's say business capability development, and all the way to the technology levels and AI use cases. Now, so something like this could probably be some that every company should be having, and kind of making sure that they know who is basically participating in all of these steps and so on, just as an example. And maybe this is something I would want to demonstrate you briefly. So let's walk through this kind of, let's say, through a much simplified example of what could this be in practice with the help of AI. So going from identifying business needs, defining them, finding use cases, and all of that. So I was going to do a short demo for how can you do that with 5 prompts and 1 copy paste. So from going from business capabilities into AI use cases with only 5 prompts. So something that every business manager and every leader definitely can do. So if we start from the first one, so here we have an example company of a construction industry company, and the first prompt provides a list of business capabilities that this company probably is using. Well, if that's a complete list of those things, well, maybe they would have a meeting or a workshop to find out, but very soon you will have the first list of those. Then maybe the second part could be that, okay, find me dependencies between these capabilities, and especially focusing on supplier relationship management, because that's what we want to focus on. So very easily, obviously, again, you will have a mind maps and everything to set your scope, basically, because that's the things that you want to be focusing on when you want to develop something. Now, maybe the third prompt could be that, okay, write me a target state description for this supplier relationship management capability. A little bit longer one, defining the roles, the outcomes, the role-specific results, so what the could look like from different people's perspective, what are the key data points, what are the key processes, and so on and so on. Now, of course, again, every company should find out that is this now the perfect for them, or should they modify it somehow? But obviously, the first version is very easily created. But then it kind of becomes interesting, because now that we have some sort of a target state, let's assume now that this company, for example, is using the Salesforce platform, because that's an easy example. That you can actually start thinking that since we are now using the Salesforce, what can it basically do for us? Are there support for these kinds of things that we have now been defining? Okay, so we see that a lot of things can be done already with that platform, and there is even support from the Agentforce, that is the Salesforce solution for AI. So that's already something that now the business manager has defined the target state, and he might even have some ideas that, oh, maybe we should be using this platform since we have it already. And maybe we want to go a little bit further still into sub-process of this current capability. So let's take supplier onboarding as an example. So basically, if the construction industry company has a new supplier in their network, so how should they manage that? So what's the out of the box workflow for ServiceNow, and what would it be in the Agentforce? So that is also easily done. So you can ask that as well, and give me an out of the box workflow, and even what is the prompt that I now need to put to Salesforce to make this thing happen. So here is the workflow for it described. Okay, it looks like that. Okay, nice. And then there is even the prompt that I need to then copy paste to Salesforce to make that happen. So when you open then, okay, that I need to maybe click. When you open the Salesforce, then you can copy paste your thing. That's a different demo now. That's a generic one, but you get the point that you can almost copy paste the thing from ChatGPT. Now thinking about that, this is now again the business manager who doesn't understand maybe that much of AI development, but still you are able with a couple of prompts define your what you want to do, and maybe even do a demo of the agent that you want to be making. So just as a short example. So basically going from that framework that I was showing, that first you define the capabilities, then you find the dependencies, the relations, and so on, find the Salesforce support, do the out-of-the-box basically definition, and then you can even configure the thing in the platform. No, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be, maybe ready as such, but anyone can already do that without being a tech expert. And it takes, I think it took something like 10 minutes already. Well, I was explaining it very shortly and slowly. So, okay. But I guess as a summary of this session, you can definitely improve the time to value, and I'm basically saying that with closer business and IT cooperation, we can definitely help get a lot of improvements in the time to value and get more results out of and being able to use AI in leading the transformations when it comes to technologies. So yeah, I think we have quite well time for some questions if you have some, because I was talking way too fast again. So, but if you have something, please feel free to shoot.
Any questions?
No, it's all clear. No, but I mean, happy to discuss about the same topics later on. I will be hanging here for the afternoon. So thanks for your interest. So if you want to give some feedback of these topics, then feel free to scan the code. Feel happy to connect with you guys if you want. I guess you can find me in LinkedIn most easily. And as said, if you are interested in the business technology standard, that's free of charge available, and you don't need to kind of register or anything. So all the materials are there. So maybe good to check out and so on. But yeah, thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.